What is up, everybody? It's your boy, Pigskin Pete. Happy Wednesday to everybody. Man, I'm excited. Why am I excited? I'm excited because I'm here. I woke up this morning, and I'm here with you guys tonight. I always say how much I love doing these call-in shows. Yeah, I love all the shows I do. Don't get me wrong. The call-in shows are my favorite. The reason I started this YouTube channel, I've said this 100 times, okay? The reason I started this YouTube channel in the first place was to talk to people about football. Lots of channels out there. No names being mentioned. There's a bunch of them. Don't talk about football. And look, people can get on YouTube and talk about whatever they want to talk about. I prefer to talk about football. Well, with the exception of the Lunch Money Show, just saw Uncle Lou in here. The exception of the Lunch Money Show, we do talk about football some, because we can't help it. We're both football fanatics. But this is a show about nothing. So you should tune into it. It's over on Uncle Lou's channel. Monday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern. This coming Monday, we have an actual football guest. I just got done saying we don't talk about football. We have a football guest that I have lined up. A Jaguars YouTuber who's called on the show a few times, UCF Jaguar. This is pertinent because we have the draft coming up in a couple of months. Man, this 2021's flying by. It's already February. Anyway, draft's in April, usually the last week of April. And obviously the Jaguars have the first pick in the draft. And we all know who we think is going first in the draft is Trevor Lawrence. There's a lot of storylines here. Urban Meyer being hired as the head coach there. There's just a lot to talk about. So I'm looking forward to talking to our buddy UCF Jaguar on the Lunch Money Show. Oh, wait, listen to this. This is breaking news even to me. I mean, this news just broke literally about an hour ago or a couple hours ago. Tonight. Let's go back to this graphic here. If Uncle Lou's watching, I have somehow convinced Mrs. Peete to be a guest on the Lunch Money Show. And I got to tell you, this was not easy. If you watch the last Lunch Money Show, he asked me, would Mrs. Peete ever consider coming on? And I told him a story of how I wanted to interview her on one of my shows one time. And I asked her basically, hey, would you come on the air and let me ask you some questions? Because people are always asking about you, this and that. And she basically told me to kick rocks, right? Basically told me, don't ever ask me that again. In so many words. She didn't say those exact words, but that's basically what she said. She looked at me like I had 3 heads and was like, no, it's not happening. I somehow convinced her to come on. And I thought about, should I interview her on my show? Like on a call-in show night, like Wednesday or Friday night? Or should I do it on the Monday night Lunch Money Show with Uncle Lou? And I made a decision. I think it would be better on the Lunch Money Show for one reason and one reason only. Because if I'm the one interviewing her and there's not another person there to ask questions, then I can just throw her softballs or steer the conversation in the way that I want to steer it. I think that somebody else being the one to lead the interview, not necessarily lead it, but ask questions that maybe I wouldn't ask would be the better of the two situations. So I don't know what I'll get with you, Lou, on that. If you're watching, I'll get with you on that about what day we'll do it. Hopefully she doesn't change her mind between now and then. Hopefully I didn't jump the gun. But she did, in fact, agree to do it under duress. What else is there? Oh, the National Signing Day. National Signing Day proved to be an interesting one. Clemson didn't have any players signed today. None, 0. They already had their entire class signed before today. They only had 19 signees, and they were all signed prior to today. They ended up, let's go through the top 10 here. Let's go through the top 10 real quick. Of course, this is a call-in show. If you want to call in, the number to call in is 864-207-4522. We're going to talk about National Signing Day. We're going to talk about Super Bowl food. I have a definite opinion on Super Bowl food. Last week, I gave you my opinion on Super Bowl parties. I definitely want to get into that, but we're going to talk about Super Bowl food. And we're also going to talk about the caller draft. This is not yet. We'll talk more about that on the Lunch Money Show as well. But for all the people out there, you're all auditioning now. All the callers are auditioning. Do you want me to draft you in the caller draft? This is important. This is very important. I do want to, before I get into this list real quick, I do want to say happy birthday to Dominic. He's in the chat. He sent me a message earlier, said today was his birthday. He seems really excited about it. I'm excited for him. So happy birthday to Dominic. Happy birthday, Dominic. Let's look at the rankings here. The usual suspects. Alabama with the #1 recruiting class. They signed an NFL team, basically, which they do every year. Ohio State, #2. Georgia, #3. This is what? Is this 4 or 5 years in a row? I think it's 4 years in a row that Georgia has signed a top 5 class. They've had a couple of #1 and #2 classes in that reign. Oh, boy. 4, LSU. Kind of surprising based on not because I don't think LSU can recruit. Obviously, I mean they can. They have NFL players coming out every year. Look, they always have high recruiting classes. Just with everything that's going on there, I think surprised me a little bit. But anyway, they're in good shape for the future, minus the sanctions and whatever penalties they get. #5, Clemson. And by the way, this is from 247 Sports. So if you look at a different website, you might see something different. Like I was looking at the ESPN rankings and they had Clemson 4. I'm just going by 247 Sports. Whatever website you want to look at, I could care less. This is basically the way it is. 5, Clemson. And I don't really follow these other teams as much, obviously, player by player, recruiting, the whole 9 yards, as I do Clemson. Clemson did very well in their positions of need. All right. Now, they didn't sign a 5-star quarterback this time. They've had 2 5-star quarterbacks in a row, basically, right, with Watson and Lawrence. And now they have the ukulele. They didn't sign a 5-star quarterback this time. I think they did sign a 4-star quarterback, but they're good in that position. But the positions that they really needed to sign, most of the 5 stars they signed were on defense. The one I'm most excited about on defense is Barrett Carter, linebacker. And he's a lot like Isaiah Simmons was, if you remember Isaiah Simmons from last season. He's a guy that can play safety, he can play linebacker. He's one that everybody wanted. Obviously, he's a 5-star. Everybody wanted him. But I'm most excited about him on the defensive side of the football, and I'm most excited about Will Shipley on the offensive side of the ball, 5-star running back out of the state of North Carolina. And, I mean, somebody's got to replace the likes of Travis Etienne, which, I mean, he stat-wise, Etienne is the best ACC running back ever, right? I mean, we can debate till the cows come home who's the actual best. Stat-wise, Etienne was the best ACC running back in the history of the ACC. So Will Shipley is somebody that will need to step up. Anyway, #6, Oregon. Mario Cristobal is killing it out there on the West Coast. 7, Texas A&M. I think Texas, and this is way too early. I'll get into like my dark horse picks and stuff, during the offseason. It's going to be a long 6 months, folks, before we have football again. A lot of material to dig into, but I always do the dark horse teams. And A&M's in a difficult position because they play in the SEC West, right? They have to play LSU, Alabama, and Auburn every year. But I think that Jimbo Fisher is as much of a piece of shit that I think he is of a human being, and I haven't been quiet about that. I think he's one hell of a football coach and one hell of a recruiter. The only thing I think Texas A&M is lacking is an elite quarterback, and ask Georgia about that. They've had the same issue for several years now, despite high recruiting rankings. But I think that there's a team that is their stock is going up, like GameStop, right? Hopefully they don't crash like GameStop's going to in about a month. Anyway, Texas A&M number 7, great class for them. Southern Cal number 8. Clay Helton on the hot seat a year ago. Probably still is on the hot seat because they are Southern Cal and they suck. But nonetheless, they were in the 40s last year. Now they come in with a top 10 class. They signed the number 1 overall recruit in the country, Corey Foreman. Certainly the number 1 in his position. I think he was number 1 overall. Corey Foreman was originally committed to Clemson. And during the summer, decommitted. And he is from California, Corey Foreman is. And now he's committed to Southern Cal. Anyway, so a great class for Southern Cal. Number 9, Notre Dame. And, you know, Notre Dame does not even average in the top 10 in Brian Kelly's tenure. They're somewhere in the teens. So this is a great class for Notre Dame. I know they signed a couple of really big time, like guys they really wanted to get today. So they had a great day today. The Irish did. So congratulations to the Fighting Irish coming in at number 9. And number 10, Michigan. This is surprising to me with the uncertainty of Jim Harbaugh, all the question marks around the program. I think that a coach of his stature can get recruits just by name alone, but you have to almost guarantee these kids that you're going to be there in 3 or 4 years while they're at school. And I don't know how he went about doing that, but nonetheless, Michigan coming in at number 10. And an honorable mention here, Miami at number 11. A lot of things going on at Miami. A lot of coaching changes. Manny Diaz is going, as in the betting world you would say, or in the poker world you would say, he's going all in. He's putting all his chips on the table, and I respect that from Manny Diaz. He's going to be a boom or bust. I hope for the ACC's sake that Miami is not going to be a bust, that they will be a boom. Clearly, I don't want them to be a bigger boom than my Clemson Tigers, but nonetheless, I hope that they, I hope things work out for them there. All right. Let's take a look at the chat. I definitely do still want to talk about Super Bowl foods. I have a definite opinion on that. And, of course, the caller draft. I'll get to the calls in just about 2 minutes, guys. Just let me run through the chat real quick. Peyton Griffin, Zach Sports Media. What is it with all the sports media? No offense, Zach. I'm not hating. You got Ballard Sports Media, Bluegrass Sports Media, Zach Sports Media. What is it with the sports media thing? I'm just curious. It's a legitimate curiosity. Matt Dummett, Lenny the Gump Summers, Dominic, Matty Sims is in the house. I'm sure if he's here, he's amazing and fantastic, but he always is because he's always here. And anybody that's here is always amazing and fantastic. JW13120, how did Bama do on signing day? Yeah. I think we all know the answer to that. Luke Walker is here. Crimson Brave. Bob Lazar. Hey, Bob, when do you want to come on and talk about some UFOs? Bob. Michael Vick from Vic2 Productions. He's in the draft, along with several other people. TikTok Chess Hall, another person in the draft. What's up, buddy? Uncle Lou is here. Even Uncle Lou is in the draft. I don't even know how that works. If we're drafting against each other, how can I draft him? I don't know. I can't. But if he's available, you know how they say when you draft, you have to take the best available? He might be the best available at some point. We'll see. Sippy Sports Show. Nick DTV. Clemson Carson's here. Intros need to be longer for sure. You know, there's a lot of reasons that the intros are 10 minutes long. One of the main ones is for my own sanity. The show cuts off at 6 minutes, at 6 minutes and 30 seconds or whatever it is, every single stream. I don't know why. I haven't been able to figure it out. So I'd rather it cut off during a meaningless song intro than when I'm talking. So, but also I'm a professional. I got a lot of setting up to do, you know. George. Well, I'm not gonna say anything right now. I don't want to give away my hand. What's up, George? Jessia Long. Good to see you here. Slim Shady Canes. Slim Shady Canes is in the house. I haven't Slim. I don't know if you heard the I called into Lou's college show last night. I was worried about you. Remember what was it last? It was about last year about this time. I made a missing poster for my buddy Slim Shady Canes. He went missing. I'm starting to worry about you, man. If I go 3 or 4 weeks without seeing Slim Shady in the chat, I start to get a little bit worried. So it's good to see you here. And George is an undrafted free agent, he said. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just reading some of this chat while I'm going through it. Traveling Fool. Hey, Traveling Fools might be coming to the Slav Olympics. We're trying to get as many people to come as possible, obviously. It would be nice to see the Traveling Fools there. Ronan Jones. George has bad takes. Yes, yes, he does. You're right. You are right. KC is here. Ryan Henke. Hi, Pete. Hope you are enjoying the off season. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. First of all, I hate the off season because there's no football. The second thing, though, about it is I enjoy the summer because it's summertime. I like to go to the beach. I like to do outdoor things, and when it's warm outside. But right now, there's no football. The weather's miserable. I do not like this month. February, March time. I don't really like that time period. Once we get into April and May and June, I can deal with that. Funky Fudge, thank you for the super chat. Says, how long before Florida State's winning anything of value? At least 5 years. At least 5 years. If you're lucky. What's up, AS? All right. What's up? You're on with Pete.
Hey, Pete, it's Mike Vick.
Mike Vick.
So I wanted to talk to you about how Georgia has officially hired Will Muschamp.
Yes. Mike Vick, do you know that? Do you know that I broke this story 3 weeks ago?
Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah, nobody believed me though.
Well, now it's become official. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah,
nobody believed me. I was able to connect the dots because he moved to Athens, and enrolled his young children in school there, and I was able to connect the dots. And shout out to Kirby Smart, by the way, for taking a page out of Nick Saban's book and taking all of the disgruntled and the thrown away coaches and making a halfway house. So Kirby Smart is doing what he should do, and following in the footsteps of Nick Saban and making all of the unsuccessful coaches, the blackballed coaches, a part of the halfway house. So shout out to him for that.
Yep. So so now he officially works for UGA. He always has.
Right.
Now it's official this time.
Yeah. Now he doesn't have to hide it anymore. Right. He can do it in the open. Or not even in the open, in some closet somewhere watching film.
Yep.
Right. Good for him. Good for Will Muschamp. Hopefully he doesn't take that cancer that destroyed the South Carolina program. I mean, how do you destroy a program that's already in the toilet? I don't know, but he did it. He succeeded at that. So hopefully that cancer does not spread throughout the Georgia program. For your sake, I hope it doesn't. So what do you think about the recruiting class for Georgia? Obviously, you came in. What was it? What did I say? Third.
Third.
Yeah.
Third. Third is pretty good. You know.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty good.
We were number one.
Hey, listen to this, VicTube. Mike Vick. Listen to this stat. This is a shocking stat. This is a shocking stat that everybody needs to pay attention to. So, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, LSU, and Clemson signed a total of 22 5-stars combined in this signing class. The other 125 Division I schools in the FBS signed a total of 12 combined. Do you know what that means?
That means that the rich are getting richer.
Hold on. What am I doing here? I've lost. Damn it. Never mind. Forget about it now. I didn't screw it up. Yes. Ding, 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 ding.
That is correct, sir.
You took the words right out of my mouth. The rich are getting richer, and they're getting richer at a fast pace. This is like the Wall Street people. This is like billionaires. Once you become a billionaire, your money starts making money on its own. You don't have to do shit. And this is what's happening in college football. And by the way, do I think this is good for college football, that you have 5 teams that are sucking up all the talent? Probably not, like in the grand scheme of things. If you're a fan of one of these 5 teams I just mentioned, you're happy about it, right? Because you're getting the talent. But this is my argument, or this has been my argument against a playoff expansion for the past several years. Now, I'm coming to grips with the fact that we're going to have an 8-team playoff, and I'm okay with 8 teams, I guess. Right? I can deal with 8 teams. I don't want more than that. But the point is that when you only have 4 or 5 teams on an annual basis that are good enough to win a national championship, why add more? Why add more blowouts? This could be a too long hour conversation if I could go down this rabbit hole. But this is one of the reasons why. Now there are people out there, Mike, that say that the reason that there's only 5 teams that are getting all the great players is because there's only a 4-team playoff. I don't think I necessarily agree with that. But it's, you know what? We'll all find out together, because it's inevitable. In a couple of years, we're going to have an 8-team playoff, probably, at least, and I will be proven to be correct in the long run. So hopefully, in 2025, 26, and 27, hopefully I'm still here on YouTube. If I haven't been kicked off by then, or run off by meaningless trolls, to prove that I was right.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, so you coming to the Slob Olympics, buddy?
Yeah, I'm going to the Slob Olympics.
Good. Look forward to seeing you there. Where are you staying? If you don't mind, maybe you don't have to tell me if you don't want to. I mean, is it a secret?
I'm not going to be staying the night. I'm just going over there on.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're a local guy.
Yeah.
So you're just going to come hang out for the day, and then and go back to your smoky room when you're done.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Great. That's great. Hey, it's better than nothing.
Right.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Anything else do you have for me before we get off of here?
Just wanted to mention this was Georgia's 5th consecutive top 3 recruiting class.
5th.
Yes, our 5th consecutive top 3 recruiting class.
That is impressive. The naysayers would say 5 top 3 recruiting classes is time to put up or shut up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just being look, don't shoot the messenger, right? So it is what it is, buddy. But listen, Georgia's they've been one of the best teams in the past few years, no doubt about it. But it's time. You know what I'm saying? It's time. Right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Good. We can agree on that. All right. Thank you, Mike Vic Tube, calling in. The 971 number. Hold on. I'll get to you in just a second. What's up? You're on with Pete.
Hey, Pete. It's Dominic. How you doing, buddy?
Dominic, happy birthday, buddy.
Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me.
Well, it means a lot to me that you're calling in tonight. So.
Oh, you said happy birthday to me, so it means a lot to me. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. You said you turned 13. You turned 13 today, huh? Is that right?
Correct.
How does it feel to be a teenager? You know, I have a son older than you. That's weird. My son's 13.
Yeah, but yeah. Oh, you do?
Yeah, my son's 13. Well, he turned 13 last year, so he's 13 and a half. So what? Being a teenager is a big deal, right? I remember when I turned 13. You feel like you're not a kid anymore. So what's the best thing about being 13? Being a teenager rather than being 12 years old.
Oh man, honestly, at this point, I'm 13, so hopefully my life goes well while I'm 13 years old. But hopefully it goes well for me.
I agree. I hope the best for you. If I could give you a little bit of advice, and I'm not in any position to give anybody advice, but compared to you, I'm old. I'm 40, so like I said, I have a kid your age. I would say keep your friends, especially at this age, keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer. And I'm assuming what grade are you in? Like 7th or 8th grade?
And so I'm between 6th and 7th grade currently at the moment, Pete.
All right. So do well in school, and don't fall into. Listen to this. You hear this?
Yeah, I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's my. Every time I start a stream, my dog comes in here. My dog has a breathing problem. He just coughs the whole time. Don't pay attention. Don't try to be one of the cool kids, right? Just do you, right. Dominic. Just do you, and right. You'll have the last laugh in the end. That's the best advice I can give you. That's the advice I give my own kids.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But anyway, I want to get to some football. I actually want to get to the NFL draft.
Okay, sure.
So Mac Jones, do you think Mac Jones is going to be a first-round pick?
No. Well, you know what? I take that back. Maybe at the end of the first round because there are so many teams. This is an unprecedented year as far as the quarterbacks go in the NFL, and there may be. There's like 8 teams looking for quarterbacks. So there may be a team hard enough up out there to take Mac Jones in the first round. And I'm not saying that Mac Jones isn't a first-round talent. I'm just saying this is a deep quarterback class. There's 5 or 6 guys that are all first-round talent, But normally you don't see 5 or 6 quarterbacks go in the first round. So that would just put Mac Jones in the second or third round as far as I'm concerned, just by the numbers alone. But there's so many teams this year that need a quarterback. He might go in the first round. You know what? That's a great question. I have to think more about that. My first reaction to that, just without even thinking about it, would be no. But I think this year is an outlier. It's possible.
Absolutely. Well, I received some breaking news about an hour ago that Andrew Luck may return to the NFL. That's 50-50.
Yeah, that's fake news. Yeah, that's fake news.
Oh, man. Absolutely. But I talked to Mark, the voice of college football, earlier.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's doing well. We talked about the NFL draft as well.
And what was his thoughts on the situation?
I'm not sure most of what he said, but he thinks that Mac Jones should end up in the first round. That's what I remember from what he said.
I'll have to go back and watch that stream. Which one was it? I know he does 18 streams a day, so I need to. What was the title of it, so I can know which one to look for?
It's the Voice of College Football Call-In Show National Signing Day, I think.
Okay, good. I'll go through my notifications and scroll through the 18 shows that Mark does, and I'll find the right one eventually. Hey, Dominic, I got to let you go, buddy, because I got calls stacking up, but you are amazing and fantastic, and happy birthday.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
All right, man. You guys have it, Dominic, letting us know that Mark Rogers, the voice of college football, was weighing in on NFL football. We all needed that. What's up? You're on with Pete.
Yeah, good morning, though. Good morning in that, though.
Yes.
This is Uncle Lou here, a Georgia fan.
Right. Yes.
I'm drafting Mike Vick. I know what you're thinking. That's probably why you put him on first. I'm drafting Mike Vick.
See, here's the thing.
I'm just saying that's it. I'm drafting Slim Shady Canes too.
Well, what if I draft? See, this is the beautiful thing about the draft is you only get one pick at a time. You can't just pick your whole roster, right? And see, here's the thing: we're both showing our cards here. I've already told you I'm drafting George number 1 overall. But like you just told me you're drafting Mike Vick. I might just to be a dick, right? With my second pick, I might just take Slim Shady Canes just because you want him. Like that's the way this works.
Yeah, and that's wrong that you're doing that because you know for a fact if this draft was 1,000 rounds long, I would never draft George. So I can't do that to you.
But that is true. But Slim Shady, he's fair game. And you letting me know that you want him second just makes me want him stealing from you even more. I mean, this isn't checkers. This is chess, Lou. You know this.
I'm also drafting the guy that called in to tell you that he called into another guy.
Who, Dominic?
Yes.
You know what? The most interesting thing about that call was that he called into Mark Rogers to talk about the NFL.
Right.
Yeah. I don't have enough time in my day to watch 18 streams that Mark. I love Mark Rogers. Hell, I do a show with him, but I don't have enough hours in a day to watch 18 streams. So, but that one, just him telling me that he was talking about the NFL, I'm gonna find that one. I'm sure that one's gonna be entertaining.
He had a stream earlier today called Recapping TCU's Recruiting Class.
Oh, because I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there that care about TCU's recruiting class.
Clamoring for TCU comment. But on to the real breaking news here.
Yeah.
Man, for the last 20 minutes, I've been like a maniac writing down my questions for Mrs. Peete.
Yeah, so don't screw this up for me. right? Because
No, I'm not.
I know, but
I'll
see,
be
it was
blue on too. Like I know, like the
yeah, I know you do.
yeah, I'll be cool.
Yeah. Look, and that's what I told her too, because well, I don't want to say too much, but basically, she doesn't appreciate the troll people, and she doesn't want but it's you know what it is, you know what it's about. It's mainly because of her job. She has a high profile job, and she doesn't put herself out there on social media, right? And so she doesn't want like any craziness. Now, I know that you know the deal because you've had Mrs. Lou on, and I know you know the deal. So I told her that it would just be me and you talking to her. Of course, the trolls in the comment section can say whatever they want, but we don't have to acknowledge them. But so I proposed this to her. We went to lunch today, and I could see the wheels turning in her head, and she had a couple of questions for me. And then on the way, when we got home, she goes, "Okay, I'll do it." And I was like, "Well, you'll do what? You know, like that thing that we talked about in the bedroom?" She's like, "No, I'll do that." She's like, "No, I'm just kidding." She didn't say that. She was like, "No, I'll do it." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "I'll do the show." So now that was today. We'll see how she feels tomorrow. But I'm gonna. Here's what we need to do: is go ahead and schedule it soon, like either this week or next week, probably next week. And before she changes her mind.
Yeah, no, I get it. I tried to get Mrs. Lou to do the morning show for 6 months before I finally talked her into it. But after it was over, she liked it. She enjoyed it.
Yeah, and her whole thing was like, I don't want to be on camera. And I was like, no, you don't have to be on camera. You can just call into the show like you're a caller. And
yeah.
And see, here's the thing. She like
it was a lot like I'm trying to have kids with her.
Yeah, and she's into football. She went to Clemson. So she's got Clemson stories. She's a football fan the whole 9 years. Of course, I'm sure you can ask her whatever you want to about me, and she'll probably embarrass the shit out of me. This is probably not a good idea. I might have to back out of this.
It might be you that backs out.
Yeah, I'm going to be the one that ends up getting embarrassed, not her.
Yeah. All right, I'll let you go and get to some more relevant callers, but I just want to make sure I understand this. George is 55, looks like he's 105, weighs 70 pounds. You can see his heart beating if you're standing behind him. He looks like Skeletor. He's got 3 teeth, but he's giving out health advice in the comment section.
Oh, I have it.
This is amazing. God bless America. Love you, Pete. Talk to you later, buddy.
All right, buddy. I haven't been watching the comments, quite frankly. I've just been talking. I can't do 2 things at once. So I haven't seen George's health advice, but guess what? We might get a chance to hear it right now. What's up, your own Pete?
My God. If I was a brain in a jar, Uncle Lou would be jealous of me.
A brain in a jar. Wasn't there a cartoon?
Brain in a jar, Uncle Lou would be jealous. You can tell he's jealous.
Wasn't there a cartoon character? What cartoon was that with the brain in the jar? The brain was in there.
I don't remember.
Help me out in the chat here.
I don't remember.
Guys, I know you. I know these people know what I'm talking about.
I do fucking remember that cartoon though. That was funny. That's funny shit. It's not Pinky in the Brain. It's something else.
Futurama? No.
Yeah.
That's not. I'm thinking of an older one. I'm thinking of the 90s.
There's been 3 guesses: Futurama, Pinky in the Brain. It's not none of them. Teenage Mutant Turtles? I don't think so.
Anyway, I'll think of it in a minute. I'm thinking of a 1990s cartoon. I used to watch this thing when I was eating my cereal, getting ready to go to elementary school. I remember that, or middle school.
I remember it. I actually remember it. My kids must have been watching it or something. It was fucking a funny cartoon. It was funny.
Brain in a Jar from So Traveling Fools brings up a good point here. Brain in a Jar from Young Frankenstein. That was the originator of it, but there was a cartoon that
right.
It took it to another level. Anyway, what you got for me, George?
Well, first of all, it looks like Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Clemson are going to be in the playoffs every year forever, right?
Yeah, forever's a long time.
And I went ahead and threw Georgia in there because eventually they're going to make it back to the playoffs. But they're definitely going to have to go to 8 teams. I can see it now. They have to because they can't just have those 4 teams play each other every year.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I still stand by my position that you can put 8 teams in there. You can put 100 teams in there if you want to. You're still going to have the same outcome. Now, if it makes people feel better to watch Alabama beat the shit out of who was number 8 this year? Iowa State? I don't even know. But you're going to get the look. No matter, you could have put 100 teams in this year, and Alabama was still the best team and still would have won it. So what's the point other than making people feel better about getting in the playoffs?
Well, some year one of the other 5 to 8 will win, and
yeah, once every 10 years, once every 10 years we'll get that one team that got hot at the end of the year. Fine, if that look maybe whatever, it's okay with me. 8 is not terrible. I don't really want that, but 8 is not terrible. Right, but more than I will tell you this right now.
You can't even find.
If they decide,
I've always made the joke you can't even find 4 good teams. 2 of them get blown out.
Yeah, if they decide to go to more than 8 is my limit. I can go ahead and tell you that right now. I can, I'm not going to be on here crying about 8. But if they go to more than 8,
Jesus Christ!
If they go to 12 or 16 or something like along those lines, I will have a serious problem with that. Because it will devalue the regular season. This is not the NFL.
So every year it would be basically Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, right? And the next 4 every year it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be the same 8. It's going to be Florida, Oregon, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, something like that. If they go 8 teams, the SEC might get 5 teams in there some years.
Hey, look, here's why I'm torn on the subject, because I don't think it's going to change the outcome, but I do like the excitement and the storylines, especially doing what I do if I'm on YouTube or a podcast or whatever it is. There's more stuff to talk about. Like Cincinnati would get in there, right? That's something to talk about. Now Cincinnati would have lost by 100 to Alabama, but it's still something to talk about for 2 weeks leading up to the game. So and there's excitement around it, and I can get with that part of it. The behind the scenes excitement around it and the conversation that it sparks, that's all great for the sport. I just don't want it to be the NFL. And that's the way it's headed. And it seems to me like they'll go to 8, and then 5 years later, just like we saw with the 4-team playoff, they're going to be people saying, we really need 16. Like, it's not fair. Or we 8's not enough. We need, and it's just going to continue to grow and grow. And I just don't want that. So 8's fine with me, but I don't think it's going to stop there. I think it's this just even starting the playoff to begin with was just opening the floodgates to adding more and more teams as time goes on.
Right. Hold on a minute. I have to say something to the chat section.
I
love being owned by Uncle Lou. Okay.
George, you call into my show and tell me to hold on. Did you really just do that?
Somebody in the chat.
George, let me tell you something. I'm going to draft you number 1 overall probably in my phone caller draft, because I think you are the greatest of all time caller. But when you say things like that, when you call into my own show and tell me to hold on, that makes me rethink my pick.
I was talking to
so have a good night. Thank you, George. Imagine this. Does anybody ever have this? And this is a call-in show, but does anybody ever have people call them on the phone, like on their cell phone, like people like your brother or your friend, and you go hello, and they go, yeah, hold on. No, no, you called me. I'm not holding on. And if somebody calls me and tells me to hold on, I'm hanging up on them immediately. What's up? You're on with Pete.
Pete, sir, this is the number 1 overall draft pick.
Yeah, you're trending upwards, Slim Shady. You might end up being the number 1 draft pick. I can tell you're high on.
Let's be honest.
You're high on the list for both me and Lou, so we'll see how that works out. But I do want you on my team, buddy.
I mean, let's be honest. I see the value in George, but at the same time, George is one of those guys that, after about 5 minutes, his stick wears thin. You put up with George in doses.
I like George, but you're right. He's definitely there's a limit, time limit. So today was well, not today necessarily, but this season was a big year for the Miami recruiting class. And I mean, I don't know. I as an outsider, I look at them as what did they finish 11th, right?
Yeah.
So the top 11, almost in the top 10 recruiting class. I'm sure probably Miami fans and Miami fans are batshit crazy for the most part, most of them. So they feel like they should have the number one recruiting class every year or whatever. But I think that 11 is a good spot. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I think the class is fine, but I mean, the point you brought up earlier about the changes that they're making on the coaching staff,
yeah.
I think that's just a continuation of the same problems that they've had.
Oh, okay. So from what I heard today,
keep changing coaches and progress as a team. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. No, I agree. And I've said 100 times that a lot of Clemson's success over the past 6-7 years or whatever has had to do with the fact that they've had the same coaches. So there is something to be said for that. But then you have teams like Alabama that have a new offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, it seems like every year. And they continue to roll on. Now, that's not easy to do, especially it's one thing if you're Alabama and you have the machine is already created, right? It's a whole other thing when you're Miami and you're trying to create the machine. So I understand that. But there's another part to it. So let me ask you this. I saw something today that Manny Diaz is going to be the head coach and the defensive coordinator, or basically calling the defensive plays. Is that true? So from the sound of your voice, doesn't sound like you feel good about that.
I don't have a problem with him as a DC. I have a problem in general as a head coach, period, calling plays.
I agree with you.
So, and what I find funny is there's a lot of the Miami Hurricane fan base that's on board with it, but they had a problem when Mark Richt was calling plays and they were hollering for him to hire a DC.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, people, keep it consistent.
From what I can tell, the coaching hires that they did make are good coaches. So from a standpoint of just the personnel and the recruiting, and that's the other thing. This is one thing that I would be at least somewhat excited about if I was a Miami Hurricane fan, is that throughout the midst of all the coaching changes and all of the turnover that's happening within the program, to still have a top 11 recruiting class is pretty impressive. Like that's normally when you have that kind of turnover.
I said that last year when Miami went 6-6 and they got the number 12 recruiting class. I was like, that's a minor miracle.
Right. I mean, look at most of these schools. Like, look at what's going on with South Carolina. I know I'm not comparing Miami to South Carolina. I mean, one's a complete dumpster fire, and one's a top 25 program, in my opinion. But look what's happening there. Like they have Muschamp left. Nobody wanted the job. They hired Shane Beamer. They're in the 70s in recruiting. South Carolina did not sign one single 4 or 5 star. Nothing but 3 stars. Or 2 star, or 3 stars or below. So that's what can happen.
If I'm not mistaken, of those 12 other 5 stars that you talked about, the rest of the country got,
yeah.
Unless I'm mistaken, Miami got 3 of them.
Wow, is that true? You would know
3. You
would know better than me. Yeah, so that's actually I don't know why they didn't just include Miami into that list then. So that would have made 6 teams have 25 5 stars, and the rest of the country have 9. Instead of 22 and 12. But I guess what they were doing was they were saying that, you know, these teams that are winning 11, 12 games a year every year, that those are the ones. But that's so look, that's even more impressive. You got 3 5-stars. That is impressive.
Yeah, and 11 or 12 4-stars.
So there you go. I mean, recruiting's half the battle.
Yeah, and listen, recruiting hasn't been their problem. Because, I mean, Mark Richt brought in a top 10 class. So Manny's had talent to work with. But the problem with the Miami fan base, and I was talking to T2I about this earlier, you're expecting, like, say, an offensive coordinator, since we keep changing them, you're expecting an offensive coordinator to come in, and you're expecting what Brett Lashley did at SMU game 1, and then you're mad when it's not that way, and you're ready to fire him by the end of the season.
Yeah. So where does he stand on that? Is he a Lashley fan or not?
I mean, they are to an extent, kind of. I mean, they still see the problems.
Yeah.
You know, offensive line, even though they've played together now for 2 full seasons and they're all coming back for a third, they're still not great. But when you have 3 offensive line coaches in 3 years, you know, what do you expect?
Right. I get it. But a good offensive coordinator is only going to be able to work with what he has. And let's be real here. We saw the receiver situation at Miami last year, and I watched a bunch of Miami. I didn't watch every single one of them, but I watched a bunch of them. And you know, Derek King, he made some mistakes in the passing game, but his receivers did not help him. I mean, he might have had more drops by receivers than anybody else in the ACC. I mean, it just seemed like every game there was.
To me, the perfect example. The perfect example to me was that Oklahoma State game.
Yeah.
If they would have caught those touchdown passes, they would have won that game by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. Yeah, and that happened every game with them. It did.
Yeah.
And so, you know, so that's not Lashley's fault, right? I mean, receiver drops the ball, he drops the ball. It's not King's fault, it's not Lashley's fault, it's not Manny Diaz's fault. It is what it is. So, you know, Pope needs to play better, clearly. They brought that guy, and what's that guy's name from Oklahoma? Oh, Rambo. Yeah, one of the best names in football. They signed a couple of really good. Receivers from Florida. So I just think that I think that things are actually trending upwards in Miami. I don't have a stake in the game. I'm not a Miami fan. I can just tell you, I can see that. I think that what Manny Diaz is doing is going for broke, and he's going for the home run, and it's either going to work or it's not going to work, and we'll all find out together over the next couple of years. But I would rather that happen than just continuing the same cycle over and over and over again, and getting the same result. So, like,
I completely agree.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, either Miami's going to be a massive disappointment in 2021 and 2022, or they're going to be a top 10 team, or maybe even a top 5 team. Who knows? I mean, they're one of the biggest wild cards in all of college football, I feel. They're really loaded. They're talented. They're good enough to be a top 10 team, but we think that every year, and then the one year they'll have 11 wins, and the next year they'll have 6 or whatever. So,
but one of the main things I think is going to help them next year is those 2 freshman running backs that did really, really good this year, Don Chaney Jr. and Jalen Knighton.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
But, I mean, we'll see. Now, to the good news in my world, how about them Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
You know what? I'm glad that I didn't make a bet with you on that, because we talked about this before the season, and I told you, I flat out on the stream, I said, look, man, Tampa Bay is not winning a Super Bowl this year. I was like, Tom Brady's not coming in there and just turning this team into a Super Bowl team in 1 year. And boy, was I wrong. Now I still stand by what I still stand by what I say as far as the future of the Buccaneers. Is this is a 2-year window. You got this year, next year probably. They have exhausted all of their salary cap to bring in these guys, And if it doesn't happen this year or next year, I think they're going to fall off after that. But they very I think they're going to win on Sunday. I really do.
Well, I said this in the offseason. I said, Tampa didn't need the best Tom Brady. Tampa really didn't even need Tom Brady. They needed a quarterback that wasn't going to throw 30 interceptions in a year.
I disagree.
They had the number one offense in the league last year.
I disagree. I think they did need Tom Brady. I think they did need Tom Brady.
I think he brings a leadership factor that they probably needed.
It's the reason they got Gronk in there. It's the reason they got. If no Tom Brady, you have no Antonio Brown and no Gronk. Now, I'm not saying those guys have been like the biggest contributors on the team or anything, but they have been a factor. So
they've been a factor. Now, granted, nobody really thought Gronk was going to be a factor with O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate there.
Yeah.
Granted, nobody knew O.J. Howard was going to tear his Achilles either.
Yeah. I'm probably I usually only bet on college football. I'm probably gonna put a wager on the Super Bowl just for fun. And if I do end up betting on the Super Bowl, I'm gonna put my money on the Buccaneers. At last I checked, they were a 3-point underdog, and I think that
they are.
Yeah.
Kansas City beat them during the season by 3.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little different now. Number one, I think the biggest reason for their success right now is Tampa got hot at the right time.
Right.
They blew out the Falcons twice and the Vikings, so they went into the playoffs on a roll. And then the defense has definitely gotten hot, and I think that's going to be the factor in this game. I think Kansas City's offensive line is hurting really bad.
Yeah.
And I think Shaq Barrett and JPP are going to have a field day.
I just it's hard to win 2 Super Bowls in a row. The last time that happened was with Tom Brady and the Patriots, right? 2000. What was that? What year was that? 2002 and 2003 or 2001, 2000, whatever it was. It's been like 18.
Like that, yeah.
It's been like 18 years since a team won back-to-back Super Bowls, and that was Tom Brady and the Patriots. And it's just hard to do that. The game is in Tampa Bay. I realize there's not much of a home field advantage because there's not going to be a full crowd there. It's just going to be a bunch of rich people. So there's not going to be a crowd noise factor or whatever. But I still feel there is an advantage in playing in Tampa Bay because Tom Brady and every other player for Tampa Bay gets to wake up in their own bed. They're not staying in a hotel. It's more familiar to them. They'll be more relaxed. And it's just hard to bet against Brady. I mean, Brady is just love the guy or hate the guy. Everybody can respect the fact this guy is just a killer in the play. He's a killer. He's an assassin in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason I
said in the offseason, I said bet against Brady at your own peril.
Yeah.
I said get him to the playoffs and then bet against him if you want to.
Yeah. Well, and he plays the best in the big games, man.
But
he plays the best in the big games.
He does.
So
now, if you believe in superstitions, Tampa is, believe it or not, Tampa is technically the visiting team for this game.
Yeah, well, whatever. That's all for
which
whatever.
If you believe in superstition, Tom Brady's 4-1 in Super Bowls where he wears white jerseys, and Tampa's wearing white jerseys.
There you go. I don't believe in superstitions necessarily, but I do believe in Tom Brady in the playoffs, and especially in Super Bowls. So.
I mean, somebody asked me in the comments earlier, would I be upset if Tampa lost? No, the Chiefs are a hell of a team.
I mean, they're favored to win for a reason.
It is what it is.
They're favored to win for a reason. I mean,
Tyreek Hill torched us earlier in the season.
Look, I mean, Kansas City's offensively, especially Kansas. I want Kansas City to win. There's 4 starters on Kansas City's team that are Clemson players. 3 main guys: Sammy Watkins, Dorian O'Daniel, linebacker, and Brashad Breeland, the cornerback. So. Yeah, so just from a Clemson standpoint, I want Kansas City to win. I don't really care who wins the game, but I just can't. I can't. I've lived long enough and watched Brady just dominate Super Bowls for so long. It's just impossible for me to not pick against him.
Yeah, well, I mean, if Tampa's defensive coordinator isn't studying everything the 49ers did against them in the Super Bowl last year, He's nuts. I mean, right there is your blueprint for shutting down that offense.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, the only reason San Francisco lost it was their lack of offense, and I don't think that's going to be a problem because AB is going to be back.
Kevin Dogs fan for life just said Tom Brady is just lucky. He should be 4-5 instead of 6-3. All right. Whether he's 4-5 or 6, the point is the guy's played in like 11 Super Bowls. I don't care what his record is in the Super Bowl. He's got more Super Bowl wins than most quarterbacks in their career have playoff wins. That's not luck. You don't luck your way into 6 Super Bowl rings. That's not like you might luck your way into one, right? Like Peyton Manning did in 2015.
Trent has one.
Yeah, a bunch of quarterbacks lucked their way into a Super Bowl because of the defense was just so dominant. We like you said, Dilfer. Peyton Manning in 2015 when they played the Panthers. Peyton Manning was a shell of himself. He was terrible that year. He couldn't throw the ball 20 yards. They won because the defense was so dominant. You don't luck yourself into 6 Super Bowl rings. It's not possible. It's not possible.
No. And like I said, if you want to technically should be 7-2 because that Super Bowl against the Eagles where Belichick benched their starting corner 3 days before the game.
Right. All right, Slim. I'm gonna have to let you go. I got a couple more calls, and I'm running over overtime here. So I'm looking forward to see. You're still coming to the Olympics, right? I'm sure you are.
Oh, absolutely. I got a confirmation email.
There you go.
Today, reminding me of my reservation at the Embassy Suite.
Oh, you're staying at the same hotel as me then. Great.
Yes, I am.
All right, man. Well, I'm looking forward to meeting you and of course everybody else. So I think it's going to be a great time.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right, man. Well, we'll see what happens in the draft. You're moving up my list now. I might have to steal you from Lou. We'll see what happens.
Well, just so Lou and you know, there's no NCAA protocols. There's no limitations on rookie contracts around here.
Yeah.
Just bear that in mind.
All right, and well, I'll save it. I was going to say something. I want to leave some. Something to be desired. So I'm not going to say everything I'm going to say, but you are definitely moving up my draft list. Slim Shady Canes. Everybody, thank him for coming on. He is amazing and fantastic. Got a couple more calls here I'm going to get to. I did want to talk also about Super Bowl food before I get off here. Because there was a discrepancy about something I said on the national championship stream about football food, and I have to set the record straight.
Is Nate the first Wolverine fan? How are you doing, sir?
Nate, you're late. Nate, you know what happens when you're late, right? If you make your name Nate the Great, don't be late, and then you're late, guess what happens?
Push-ups.
No. I hang up on you. Sorry, Nate. I hate to do it to you, buddy, because I like you a lot. But if you're going to name yourself and tout that you're never late and then you're late, that's what happens. What's up? You're on with Pete.
Hey, Pete. How you doing today, sir? It's Michael.
What's up, Michael? How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good in yourself. Hey, I got a quick question. I'm just looking over Clemson's schedule next year, and I know it's an iffy game. You know, either way with Georgia or Clemson next year. But I was looking with Syracuse, Boston College, and Pittsburgh. It seems like they usually have trouble with those 3 teams. Of those 3 teams, which one do you think is more likely to give, if they lose to Georgia, which team do you think can give Clemson their second loss next year?
What was the 3 teams you said? Syracuse, Boston College, or Pittsburgh?
Yeah. And they're all in 2 of the games that are on the road.
Is the Pittsburgh game on the road?
Yes, it is.
That's my answer. First, look, no, Syracuse is awful. I know that a couple of years ago they gave Clemson a good game, right? And they did, and they lost to him like where was it, 2017, whatever it was. That's not the point. Syracuse is terrible. Boston College, no. I think Pittsburgh is probably the team that's most likely to upset them. But even then, I mean, let me ask you this: is the Pittsburgh game a Friday night game or is it a Saturday game?
I believe the Syracuse game is this Friday game. Let me look. I just
Okay, great.
Here.
The Friday games are tricky. I look at this Clemson schedule and it's hard. It's hard to get excited about it, man. Like, man, obviously I'm excited about Georgia. We don't play Miami. We don't play North Carolina. It's just a bunch of bad teams, man. And this is not Clemson's fault. People like to rag on Clemson about their schedule. It's not. They don't control their conference schedule. Like, all they can do is schedule good teams out of conference, which they do every single year. But it's up to it's up to the rest of the ACC, especially the Atlantic Division, which is what Clemson is in, to get better, to make the games more exciting. And you know, we'll see what NC State looks like. Maybe they'll have a good year. Hell, who knows?
One last thing before I let you go, P, is do you think Wake Forest, that was the fluke last year, or do you think it'll be a decent team again this year?
Well, they've been a decent team under Dave Clawson for several years, but they're still Wake Forest, right? I think Dave Clawson's one of the top 10 coaches in the country. If you look at the recruiting rankings for Wake Forest and the team that they put on the field, they exceed their expectations over the past 4 or 5 years, almost every year. So I think they're a good team. But we're talking about the difference between a top 40 team and a top 5 team. There's a big gap there.
Yeah. All right. I was wanting to get down there for the Salt Olympics, but I don't think it happens. But I do plan on meeting you in September for the game in Charlotte. Thanks for taking my call and have a great night, sir.
All right, buddy. Thank you. All right, that was going to be the last call, but here I'm going to give this one more chance against my better judgment.
I was just trying to explain something to you. I was trying to do the chat and talk to you at the same time. That was too much for me. I couldn't
George,
handle it,
you're a veteran.
I won't do it again.
You're a veteran caller. You should know how this works by now. And on top of that,
but I tried multitasking.
Yeah, well, you're not good at multitasking, so stop doing that. On top of that, you called me and asked and told me to hold on. That was the reason I hung up on you.
But I was talking to the chat when I said that. I was saying something to the chat section. I talk to my phone. I don't type. You know what I'm saying. You do the same thing, right?
No, I don't.
All right. Well, I won't do that anymore.
Please don't.
Everybody will know when I'm talking to you. I'm not typing shit in the chat or talking in the chat from now on. It wasn't important. I was just trying to joke with the guys in the chat. Like, look, I could talk to Pete and chat at the same time. You know?
Yeah, but you can't, though.
Right.
You're literally talking on the phone to me.
I figured out the Howard's Rock thing.
All right, so let me tell everybody what the call screener says here. It says, "I know what Howard's Rock is. I figured it out." So what does that mean?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of a guy thing, man.
No, it's not.
You know? Yeah, it is. All the guys run by and they rub Howard's Rock. I'm not even going to go any more into detail. It's a boy thing. We touched Howard's Rock. Wow.
See you later, George. George, man. Oh, God. All right, that's going to end the call-in portion of the show. I am going to get in the chat here for a couple of minutes. I have some definite thoughts on the Super Bowl food subject. So I was on the was on the national championship stream with me and Uncle Lou. When was that? Like a month ago. And somebody in the comment section brought up what kind of food do you guys eat on game day, right? Whether it's the national championship or the Super Bowl or whatever. And I went through here's the thing. You have the usual suspects. You have the chicken wings and you order a pizza, whatever, barbecue, all the stuff that everybody does. I think that what people do for the Super Bowl is regional, right? So I made the comment on there that during the national championship game, we went out and got a bunch of steamed shrimp. And we always have seafood during a big game, whether it's the Super Bowl or a big college game. We might have other things too, barbecue weenies, wings, burgers, beer, hot dogs, beer, cheese, Rotel cheese dip, which by the way, Rotel cheese dip, it can only be done one way, and it's blasphemous if you don't do it this way. It has to be Velveeta cheese, and it has to be Rotel hot Rotel tomatoes in a can. If you get mild or medium, you get no respect from me. It's got to be hot, and it's got to be Velveeta too. I know Velveeta is not real cheese, but it's a staple. But anyways, they were laughing at me in the chat section saying, "Oh, this guy eats seafood on game day." Yeah, because here's the thing: if you live in the South and you live on the coast. Like, I'm assuming, I don't know. I mean, I was born and raised and have lived in South Carolina, coastal South Carolina for my entire life. Never lived anywhere else. But I'm assuming coastal Georgia, coastal North Carolina, coastal Virginia, coastal Florida are similar in this. But here, especially in the area that I live in, the Charleston area, oysters are the biggest Super Bowl food, period. Now, if you go to Iowa, I doubt that steamed oysters, oyster roast on Super Bowl Sunday is a big thing because they don't have fresh oysters. I can go into 18 different seafood shops here, local seafood shops, and get oysters that were harvested today, right? Or at the most yesterday, like fresh oysters. And oysters are a staple football food around here. So yes, seafood is definitely a football food. Now, outside of that, I'd say barbecue weenies, all the various dips, the 7-layer burrito dip, whatever. And then, of course, all of your usual suspects, hot dogs, hamburgers, wings. A lot of people order pizza, that kind of thing. But for me, it's oysters. Brenton Lee Jones. Yes, I live in Charleston, born and raised in Charleston, and I still live here. Coastal Oklahoma, says Rob Dog. Hey, Mike 883. I never heard about these things until I've told this story before too. One of my good friends is a Buckeye graduate. He's from Columbus, Ohio. He lives here in Charleston. He made some of these one time. He told me about them. These chocolate and peanut butter. They look like Buckeyes, like the Buckeye nut. They're brown on the outside and light brown in the middle. It looks kind of like an eyeball or whatever. He made those things, the chocolate Buckeye things. I've actually eaten one of those. I never would have eaten one or even known what they were if I didn't know somebody who was a Buckeye. But they are good though. Which is better, Myrtle Beach or Charleston? Is that a serious question? Myrtle Beach is a tourist trap. There's really no comparison. Yeah, Nate. You were late. Yeah, shrimp. And we get like you get the shrimp steamed. The Publix by my house does they have a great They cook them for you. You just go in there, say, I want 2 pounds of steamed white shrimp or pink shrimp, whatever kind of shrimp you want, and seasoned with Old Bay. And they steam them. It takes like 5 minutes. They steam them right there for you, package them up, and man, they're good. Yes. Anyway, guys, it's 11:22. Thank you all for joining me tonight. You guys are all amazing and fantastic. By the way, here's an announcement I want to give you real quick. I'll be on Friday night for the call-in show at 10 p.m. I am, as of right now anyway, planning on doing a live stream during the Super Bowl. I realize that there's going to be 1 million people on YouTube live streaming for the Super Bowl, right? But my wife is going to a Super Bowl party. I'm not a Super Bowl party guy. I'm not going to a Super Bowl party. I'll be home alone. She's taking the kids with her, everything. I'll be here by myself, and so I'm considering doing a live stream for the Super Bowl. Unless something changes between now and then, that's what I'm gonna plan on doing, is doing a live stream. So hopefully you guys can come hang out with me, and we can watch the Super Bowl together. So. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me tonight. You're all amazing and fantastic. Thank you to all the callers, all the commenters, and anybody who supported the show through either Super Chat or PayPal. You're all amazing and fantastic. I could not do this show without your support. So I will see you guys on Friday right here. Same bat phone, same bat channel, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll see you there. Have a good night. Stay safe. Pigskin Pete is